Good morning, everyone. This is Karl F. Rose recording from Bedford, Pennsylvania on Monday, September 30th, 2019. And today we're going to talk about the Lions versus the Kansas City team yesterday, even though they lost. And we're going to discuss why they are not the same old Lions right after this.
Remember to subscribe and hit the bell notification.
Okay, this is Karl F. Rose recording from Bedford, Pennsylvania on September 30th, Monday, September 30th, 2019. And let's just get right into the video here. Now, I just did a podcast earlier on that's already uploaded, and I went more into the game details. What I want to talk about here is I want to talk about why these are not the same old Lions anymore, and I want to kind of contrast. Basically, I want to play out how things would have worked out with the two previous coaches compared to Matt Patricia, and why the Matt Patricia era is the new Lions era. It's not the same old Lions. It's not nothing. He's bringing a winning attitude to the team. But first of all, let's look at the game. Okay, the Lions played their hearts out, even though it was a loss to one of the best teams in football. This is all due to Matt Patricia. We'll get into that later. Let's talk about the situation here. Go back to two coaches, to Jim Schwartz, who was really an energetic coach. He's a great defensive-minded coach, but he was also the players under his guidance were undisciplined, too many penalties, a lot of things. So basically, under a Jim Schwartz coach team, this would have been an absolute blowout. The Kansas City team would have just destroyed the Lions. It would have been ugly, and it would have been mainly because of undisciplined play on both sides of the ball. Late hits on defense, 15-yard penalties, penalties that would keep the drives going, and Kansas City would just be taking advantage of it. Not only that, well, that's Caldwell, so no, I'm not going to go into that. But now they did have a good defense under Jim Schwartz, but they're just too many penalties at critical times. Third down and then a late hit, bam, personal foul, first down, and you're just helping the other team go all the way down the field and get 7 points instead of 3. On the offensive side of the ball, they were basically pretty much one-dimensional, no running game. They weren't really predictable, but I'll get into that, the predictability under Coach Caldwell. But they were predictable to a point. But the thing is, at that time, it was Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson, and the other teams are still trying to get adjusted to Calvin Johnson. So it was more like their offense was just more like just throw it up, let Calvin jump up higher than anybody else, grab it, and go in for a touchdown. And that was basically the offense. And again, like I said, the defense was undisciplined. Too many penalties, unnecessary penalties. Now let's go to Caldwell. The game would have been a blowout again, but for different reasons. Not so much the undisciplined penalties, but first of all, the predictability. They would try to run the ball, but they were just so predictable. Either Stafford would be throwing pick sixes, or there would be 3 and out, 3 and out, and 3 and out. And not only that, the linebackers under Caldwell system, they never were able to cover the middle, and Kelsey would have just tore them up. Kelsey probably would have had about 300 receiving yards, and again, the predictability and the lack of Caldwell cost a lot of games by not throwing the challenge flag. I'm glad to see now. Let's and so basically that's really it. We just horrible coaching on the two previous coaches. And it didn't really help that they didn't have the best players on the team. But what quality player wants to go to a team that's really going to be no good, no player? So you bring in Matt Patricia. Now here's the contrast: Matt Patricia, the rocket scientist, and he's proving he's a genius. I'm sure he went 6-10 last year, and I don't fault him for that. He was a rookie coach, and then again, I think going back to last year, I don't think Matt Patricia really wanted Jim Bob Cooter as the offensive coordinator, but I think Matthew Stafford lobbied quite a bit, was in Patricia's ear, so he said okay. But we all saw that happen. Now we're getting the people in that Matt Patricia wants in there now. Well, and he's changing the culture, and this is a team that not only is going to win, but they want to win. Justin Coleman was just playing lights out. As I said in my podcast, he was punching the ball out. Their defense is opportunistic. They are forcing turnovers. They are getting turnovers. Is the offense turning it over? Yes, they do have mistakes, but they're coming back. The Lions are still going to have to fight the referees as usual. So they're not only fighting their opponent, but they're fighting the referees. But what's the difference between Matt Patricia and the previous two coaches is when something bad happened, a bad call or something like that with the other two coaches, you could just see the air go out of the Lions, and then they just quit. The only thing that I saw yesterday where the Lions let up a little bit was that fumble. And I talked about that in my podcast, so I went into that detail. But I'd be furious because he just walked in, 100-yard touchdown, really not even challenged. Galladay had a chance to tackle him right there in the spot, just kind of swatted at him. But I went over that in my podcast. But outside of that, and then the two drives where they got field goals, they had 3 field goals. One was a long one. That's good. But the two other drives where they were close enough to punch it in, and they didn't. So those are the 3 things. It was the fumble, the lack of hustle on the fumble, and the 2 drives where they got field goals instead of punching it in. That's what lost the game for the Lions. And I'm sure Coach Patricia is going over these things. I'm sure he's going over them, and it's great that they have the bye coming up because they can rest. And I'm really hoping and praying. Let's pray for T.J. Hawkinson, that he can come out of this concussion thing. It was good to see him mobile. It was good to see him walk up to the cart and not have to be carted off or anything like that. But he's going to be fuzzy for a while, so he might not be able to play for against Green Bay. But Matthew Stafford has more weapons. They are catching balls. That's something that never happened under the 2 other coaches. They are getting yards after the catch. The running game was awesome. I went over that. The blocking is better. The Lions have emerged. Okay, and this is all due to Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn. Bob Quinn has understanding. I think the 6-10 record last year left a sour note in their mouths, and even with the rest of the team. And they do not want to repeat a 6-10. And I'm looking at it, and there's no way. There's a lot of people out there saying they're only going to win 3 or 4 games. Well, that's not going to happen. They're going to win more than that. They're going to at least win 8 games. I see them winning more. I see them winning 10. They could have. They could, if they win 11 games, that would put them at 11, 4, and 1. which could possibly win the division. But my point of this whole video is that this is a new team. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with, and they're only getting better. The bye week came at a perfect time. They can heal up, and then they can come back, and they can bounce back and just beat the hell out of the Green Bay Packers, because the Green Bay Packers are not a very good team. And then they follow it up with the Vikings. The Vikings don't look very good either. And they play both of them in their house. And I see the Lions taking both of those games, but as coaches always say, it's one game at a time. But right now, what they got is a bye. They need to rest. They need to look at all where they went wrong. And I think hustle is one of the things that they just got to make sure that they're on the spot every single play. If the whistle's not blowing, they got to play until they hear that whistle. They'll get it. They'll get it right. And by the end of the season, you're going to see a Lions team that a lot of people are going to be worried to play against. And that's what I see. That's what I see coming. This is the video I just wanted to get out, and the video that I told Micro Mike about, that I wanted to contrast both the coaching. Matt Patricia is he's proving to be a rocket scientist, and he's only going to get better. That's what the Lions need. They need to have a coach that's going to be around for a while, and that every single game and every single year they improve, and to build something that's going to go on for years to come. Not just this year, but the next year and the following year. The Lions are going to be tough. I want to see them win the North. I'd love to see them win the North this year. It's doable. Everything is doable right now. Even though they lost, they're playing with a statement saying, yeah, you come to our house, you're going to have a game, and if you're not up to your game, we're just going to sweep you out of here, and you can pick up your scraps when you go back home. Anyway, that's about it. If you like these videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. Also, I did a podcast this morning. Go to my home channel page, and you'll see Karl's Corner Podcast. Be sure to click on that. Hit the subscribe button and the bell notification for my podcast too, as well. And so I just want to get that over with and get that over here. So we will talk to you next time.